Hello and what is up guys, right here and welcome back to some more automation and of course BeamNG.Drive. Today we are building the highest fuel economy vehicle possible in automation and of course driving it in BeamNG. We are using only stock bodies, no mod bodies, because there is a slew of modded bodies that can have crazy high MPG and it's just not realistic. I think we're going to go for a bit more of a realistic build today, and by realistic I mean we're shooting for 500 miles per gallon, which is absolutely obscene with a stock body. So what we're doing is we're building this car. It's going to be a hypermiler similar to things like the Honda Insight or Toyota Prius or other small hatchbacks of the modern era, etc. But this thing is going to be, of course, way better than any of those by a landslide. Like the Honda Insight, the very first one got like what, 50, 60 MPG. This thing is going to get 500 MPG. So it's just a little better, just a little. We've got this body in front of us. From my testing, it has been the most efficient body possible in automation. It is fairly short at only 86 inches long, 86.86 inch wheelbase, but also a very, very, very narrow track width of 43.3 inches. So it's a fairly short car, but also an extraordinarily narrow car. It's very, very, very narrow, which is going to help us with our fuel economy. So what we're doing is there's no budget. We're just building the best car physically possible. I don't know why it's already plus 15, but we're going to need that plus 15. Carbon fiber body panels, monocoque chassis, carbon fiber for the chassis material. This thing is going to be basically the car to end all cars. This is going to be the most efficient car in history, also probably the most terrifying car, and you'll see why later on. Rear mounted engine, it's going to be a rear engine car, and yeah, for some reason this is the highest MPG body that I could find. Filament 86 has his highest MPG body that he used before, but I think this one's just a little better. McPherson strut suspension, front and rear, that's lighter than double wishbone, and it's the same weight as pushrod, but pushrod is just, we just don't need pushrod really. It's going to be a normal car, not a supercar, come on. Inline 3-cylinder engine, magnesium, dual overhead cam, 5 valve per cylinder, so we're not going to use VVL because it's actually worse than having 5 valve per cylinder, and then make the engine just super, super tiny. I might tweak this later on, but the smallest engine possible is going to give us just incredible MPG. I might tweak it a little later because it might be a little more efficient, but this is fine for now. Billet steel is going to be lighter, I think, than everything else. Weight is 13, weight's 14, weight's 16, so lighter. Lightweight titanium is the lightest, I think, yep. And then we're going to go for low friction cast for the piston, so it's not as light as light friction cast, or light friction forge, sorry, but it's going to be much more efficient for the engine itself. Plus 15 quality on that slider, because you need plus 15 or minus 15 on anything really in this game. VVT all cams, that's going to help us out, plus 15 again, and a cam profile of about 5 for now is good. Compression, we'll put that to like what, 12 to 1 for now? That's fine, 12 to 1 for now. It's going to be turbocharged 3-cylinder, fuel economy preset for now, plus 15. We're going to tune this thing, we're going to go 0 intercooler. It doesn't need an intercooler, it's not actually going to have a turbo, but it's gonna have a turbo. Okay, so injection, direct injection per cylinder, race intake. That's just the best of the best, and it's also quite light. I think it's lighter than standard. It doesn't weigh anything, so it's lighter than standard or performance. Ultimate fuel, red line 2,000 RPM because apparently it's the best RPM. Automation's calculations for MPG is really stupid, and it's really easy to game if you know what you're doing. So plus 15 quality on the fuel system slider, half an inch exhaust, no catalytic converter, no mufflers, etc. Plus 15 on that though. So I think the basics are pretty much done for that. It gets 35% thermal efficiency, which is decent. If we go this to 100 and this to minus, or just to 15, that's already 41%, which is very efficient for a gas engine. We have a few things left to do. We can tweak the turbos, etc. We're going to lower down the air ratio, I think, a bit. Do you want ball bearing? Yeah, ball bearing is a little better. And let's go for, okay, what if we go no turbo? Yeah, no turbo is just, it's just worse. Let's go like this. So 41% efficiency. We'll just leave that for now. We'll tune that more later. And a higher compression ratio is all we really need. So 41.2% thermal efficiency, which is not the most efficient. You can actually get a more efficient engine with an inline 6 that's larger, but it actually gives you worse MPG. For my testing, I've done a lot of testing before I recorded this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the numbers, they check out. So we've got two body options. This kind of square, almost like a ute, except it's not a ute, it's actually a car that's rear engine. Or we can go for this slightly curvier body, the same thing. We're going to go for the curvy one. It's a little bit better. Even though they have the same drag coefficient, it's actually slightly better for drag. We'll go for plus 15. Now this doesn't actually matter, it doesn't affect the weight on this build today. Drivetrain, rear-wheel drive, 4-speed manual. plus 15 quality. Electric LSD, adding a differential or going from open to electric LSD or whatever really doesn't actually affect the weight, so we'll just do electric because it's just the best for performance, I guess. Why not at this point, I guess. Radial tires, hard long life, an 85mm front and rear. Yep, no, it's basically bicycle tires on this thing. Let's go to smaller tire diameter, so it's a bit smaller there. Carbon fiber wheels plus 15. Brakes, carbon ceramics, because this is a performance car and it needs performance level braking. We'll go for a lower pad type because we don't need all that braking force even. And we'll go for plus 15 quality as well, because you need plus 15, like I said. Fully clad under tray, 0 for cooling airflow, plus 15 quality. That's the best for our aerodynamics and stuff. We need a 1-seater basic, no entertainment, or plus 15 on the interior. That's important, plus 15. That actually makes it lighter. No power steering. We'll give it full traction aids because honestly, it just doesn't matter. That doesn't affect the weight. And then lowest safety with minus 15. And then we'll go for what, standard, semi-active, and passive? Is it the best? So standard and progressive are the same. We'll just do that. The dampers don't actually change in weight, but sway bars do. We need to lower our sway bars to 0 because that will give us a bit less weight. And plus 15 as well. So right now, before tuning, we weigh 526 pounds, which is literally nothing for a car. And we get 309 mpg, which is the most of any production car in history. It's actually better than the Volkswagen XL1 by a fair bit, and we're not a hybrid or a diesel, so you can only imagine how good this thing would be if it was one of those, which would be crazy. So the car costs just a reasonable $5.3 million, which I would say is probably pretty good with all the fuel you're going to save. You only have to fill this car up like twice a month, like 1 liter fuel tanks only though, which is crazy. So let's change our top speed gearing a little lower. So we just lowered a little bit. We just lowered it to 43. I literally pressed one button. 495 mpg. Oh god. I honestly was actually thinking we'd actually get a little less than that. So 495 is actually more than my testing did. I didn't do too much testing, I guess, today. But I've been testing a lot before. 497 mpg, that's pretty good to start with, no engine tuning, etc. That's decent. I'll take that. The car costs $5.3 million. It gets 495 mpg. What I'm going to do is design this car in a short time lapse. We're going to design the car, make it look like a true hypermiler. It's like a 2000s kind of car design. Or like 90s, etc. But it's going to be a 2020 car. I don't know. It's going to be maybe we'll design like a 1990s car, but it's going to be 2020 tech because that's obviously the best technology. I'm going to try to break the 500 mpg barrier, but if I can't, it's pretty much right on the nose of 500 miles per gallon, which is reasonable, I'd say, for a production car. If you guys aren't a fan of miles per gallon, then you just click off the video. Just get out of here. This is not a performance car. It's got a whopping 8.8 horsepower. 0 to 60 is in a reasonable... Oh, it doesn't do 0 to 60. Yeah, no, it doesn't do 0 to 60. It can do the quarter mile in a reasonable 999 seconds. That's a time. It will do. Yep, that's fine. So we're gonna design this car in a short time lapse. I'm gonna go over the other tuning and stuff that I did. So I'm gonna tune it just a little bit, and if we can break the MPG, I'll let you guys know what I did. After that, we're gonna hop into BeamNG and see how absolutely terrible this car is to drive, because it's gonna be pretty bad, guys, I think. Sit back, relax, guys, and of course, as always, I hope you enjoy. And we are starting the design for my 1990s, 2000s-ish super hypermiler car. And I'm actually starting off with some pre-made headlights, and I quickly switched to custom headlights in front end, which again I switched back later on. I wasn't too sure exactly how I wanted to go for design. I do end up with these sort of Suzuki Swift style headlights. I put my own bulbs in them, etc. I changed the wheels pretty quickly, then add a fender skirt to the rear of the car. Now this car, of course, being a hypermiler, doesn't really need a lot of grille, a lot of airflow, especially because it's rear engine, but I do add a small grill, a little bit of a smile on the front end there with some air intakes, hopefully to diffuse some wind flow or something like that. I'm not too sure. I spent quite a bit of time actually making this giant panoramic glass roof. It's turning into a bit of a concept car, which I actually really like. It's a bit of a 1990s concept car of the future, adding this really weird sort of air curtain, air channel thingamajigger on the side. And on the back end, we start by cutting out the entire back end, adding our own custom taillights, which I do change on later. I'm not totally satisfied with how the rear end turns out, but I have this big light bar all the way across. It's basically a cheap 1990s concept car design, I feel like. with a bit of a futuristic vibe on it. We added an Ultras badge. This is actually a new brand at the front with an exhaust pipe, a little bit of detail on the back, changed the color, and some stuff as well. And in front of us, we have the 1999 Ultras Concept 2099 Eco Sport. Alright guys, so finished in front of us, like I said, is the Ultras Concept 2099 EcoSport. Now Ultras is a new brand in my automation universe. It is a Japanese brand that makes cars for the American market, so think companies like Acura or Lexus, so it's kind of upscale-ish, but not really. They just don't really sell these specific cars in Japan because Americans like them more. I don't know, but they're Japanese for Americans. This is a concept car from the year 1999 with of course 2099 tech, because it's the future, baby. So it's meant to be a look into the future of 2099, or hopefully what 2099 might be in the year, or from the year 1999. So it's got these big, massive rubber band 17-inch wheels because, yeah, they look cool. They've got these sort of Suzuki Swift headlights. We got some air suck up front right there that sucks in the air, and it gets sucked out to these vents for aerodynamics because eco-friendly. It's got the Ultra scripture right there because branding. And it's got, you know, things like glass on the roof that goes all the way across because style. Now, besides that, it's a pretty normal car. It's got some airflow stuff going on over here. I'm not too sure how it'll work, but you know what? It's got it, and it looks kind of cool. It's got these fender skirts that aren't perfect, but you know what? It'll be edited for the thumbnail to look perfect. The back taillights wrap all the way around. It's just a concept car. It's more of just a cheap concept car. It's not supposed to be the flashiest thing. It's supposed to be quirky. We got a wing on there, and I think that actually affects our extra aerodynamics, so we should actually get rid of that wing. Let's get rid of that wing. And the MPG we're getting right now, let's just check right here, is 482.6 mpg, so it's a little worse than before. I'll tell you why. So the wheels are spaced out by 85 millimeters, which does affect that. But besides that, it's decent. I actually played around with fully clad or no under tray. We'll go back to fully clad now. 485 actually is an improvement. So we're 10 mpg short up before, and that is pretty much just due to having the wheels spaced out, so it looks kind of clean in the front. Besides that, it's a pretty basic car, honestly. There's nothing need to be said. What we're going to do is hop into BeamNG.Drive. I want to test the MPG of this thing to see if we can really get 480 miles per gallon, which is very, 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 very little liters per 100 kilometers for you European and Canadian and everywhere else, people. So what we're going to do is hop into BeamNG.Drive. We're going to test the crap out of this thing MPG-wise and just see how it drives overall. Is it 8.8 horsepower, 3-cylinder car that weighs 550 pounds a good car to drive? You know what? I don't know. I'll see you guys in BeamNG.Drive in, of course, just a second. Okay guys, so we're finally in BeamNG.Drive with the Ultras concept car, and we are in just a flat open world here. The car does actually work perfectly fine. It's very quiet though. I'll crank that up. It's very quiet. The car actually looks okay in BeamNG. It sits a little high. It's as low as it physically can go. You can see here, it looks very interesting here. From the side, from underneath, it looks like it's missing the underneath, which, I mean, it is, but that's okay. So, what we're doing first is we're actually going to test the car's rear-world MPG by doing an actual driving test. And what I mean by that is we're just going to drive in a straight line at top speed until the car runs out of fuel with 1 liter only. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually modify the car. We're going to go to tuning and make the car only have 1 liter of fuel. So it's not going to have any fuel except for the 1 liter. So 1 liter of fuel, and what we're going to do is drive as far as possible in a straight line at full speed like this, just with the cruise control on. I'm actually going to record this overnight for as long as it takes, basically, to see until we run out of fuel. So automation estimates about 215 or so kilometers of range. It's got about 480 miles per gallon, which equates to about 215 or so kilometers on 1 liter of fuel, around there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'll dive more into that after. So we're gonna drive in a straight line until the car runs out of fuel. I'm gonna do a fast forward through the entire time lapse of this and just commentate it for like 30 seconds because it's gonna be like hours and hours of driving. Theoretically, if we're driving at 50 kilometers an hour and we've got about 200 kilometers of fuel, it's gonna take 4 hours. Yes, this is gonna take 4 hours to test Yeah, no, we're going all the way here, guys. And after that, we'll see how it drives. So let's skip forward here, see how much fuel actually, how far this car can actually go in BeamNG.Drive. So basically, instead of watching the entire car at 100 times speed for 2 minutes, because that's just absolutely dreadful because it's just driving in a straight line, the car does about 200 or so kilometers of total distance. I will skip part way through of the actual recording because it's just 2 minutes at 100 times speed, and my recording software cannot go any faster than 100 times speed. So the car gets about just under 200 kilometers of range out of 1 liter of fuel, which equates to about 470 or so miles per gallon, which is basically on target with what automation was saying, which is actually pretty impressive. So besides the car's impressive miles per gallon, I think it's time to test the car under some real world scenarios to see how it performs in these very realistic conditions. So obviously, the second important thing of any hypermiler car, any concept car, is how fast is it? How quick is this car in the quarter mile? So we're gonna do a quarter mile test with the Ultras. You know, as long as it gets like a sub 20-second quarter mile, then I think we'll pretty much be just about fine. You know, if it can do sub 20 seconds, then I'll be happily surprised. So we'll launch it here. Let's take off traction control because I don't think we'll be needing that to be on. I don't think it actually matters, but we'll do it anyways. The engine is a bit louder now. I've turned it up. We'll launch it here. Oh god, it's depressing. That's depressing. Okay, we're not gonna get the sub 20 seconds, I don't think, but okay, we're making negative 2 bars of boost. The engine's actually kind of like peppy. If we let off the gas here. Okay, it's still fun. There's no sounds. It's fine. Come on. Under 30. No, we're not getting sub 30. Well, that was depressing. It is a concept car. The brakes work great though. 30-second quarter mile. It's not even in my top 50. That's kind of surprising, actually. I thought it was in the top 50. 32 seconds and in a third of a second, which is very impressive, I'd say, for this thing. Maybe it'll handle better than it actually is accelerating. I don't know. Let's try the handling course. Let's see how it handles. I've got high hopes for the 2099 concept car. So we're at the second last event, and you know what? Besides going fast, accelerating fast, and getting good mileage, I think, you know, a true concept car should be able to handle well on the track as well. This is the automation test track handling circuit. We're doing a lap of this thing. Let's keep the ESC off. We don't need that. Let's launch it. Oh, let's reverse. Okay. We'll restart that, I guess, because that was reverse. My bad. I had the steering wheel upside down. Okay, let's launch it here in first. Get off to a brisk start. We can just start the car in third. My gosh, the gearing is so terrible. It's so bad. On the plus side, we can just stay flat-footed the entire time, probably, and not have to brake. That's a positive. This is the future, baby. In the future, there are no brakes. And in the future, cars are very depressingly slow, apparently. You know, I wanted to crank out my new Logitech G29, my G29 shifter. I've got an actual shifter here with it that I use, and I wanted to use it today because I didn't use it on my last video, but it's not really necessary, I feel like. So we have not braked at all yet. We're not going to brake the entire time. I call. We're not braking the entire time. The car looking kind of cool from the back. It looks definitely like a 1990s concept car. It's kind of basic though in the back. But that's all right. That's all right. This car is about speed, performance, and fuel economy, obviously. It's an eco-friendly. That's why it's green, for eco-friendliness. We're taking the turn at 50 kilometers an hour, maintaining speed all the way through here, staying in fifth. Oh, staying in fourth. We don't even have 5 gears. That's depressing. We're going to cut the corner here a little bit. We need the turn. Flat-foot it. I let off a tiny bit, so I didn't flat-foot it around the corner 100%. I was like 90% throttle. It was an accident, I swear. We'll keep flat-footing the entire time here. I'm going to hold my foot to the floor. Oh god, it actually handles okay. It does have a bit of terminal oversteer because it's rear engine and the tires are absolutely terrible. The time so far, 1:26. Somehow I feel like this won't be the worst time ever. I feel like it'll be up there. Can we drift it? Bit of a drift there, a little bit sideways. Not too shabby for the little eco car. Only 500 pounds this thing weighs, which is just obscene. I wonder if we can get this engine to like 500 horsepower. That'd be pretty wild. 500 horsepower for 500 pounds. That'd be crazy. Under 2 minutes actually is like not completely terrible. I don't think it's top 50 for time wise, but it's not actually that bad. Especially we didn't have to brake the entire time, which is a plus. The car handles actually okay and it's very light. If we did need to brake though, It brakes very quickly, 206, 0.8 seconds, which is not top 50, but you know what? It's not the worst ever. It's not absolutely terrible. Like, my best is a 121, which is pretty fast. And then I guess we're going to go to the jump arena for the final event of the night and see how far this car can jump, because that's always important in any concept car as well. We'll jump the car, see how far it jumps, you know, that's the real important stuff. Lastly, we are in the jump arena with the Ultras 2099 Concept Eco Sport. And you know what? I feel like this is the true test of a real car's mettle, seeing how far it can jump. The most important part of any concept car, or any car for that matter, is testing its mettle against the jump arena. Let's go like this. Let's just get to fourth and crawl up to the start line and see what we can do for a jump. Okay, we're gonna hold the clutch in now because, yeah, we're already going a little fast. Oh god, it does not handle well. It's definitely sketchy. Oh, it's very loosey-goosey. 186 kilometers an hour, actually kind of decent speeds. 197. Oh, absolutely terrible. Does it still run? Those tires, man, those tires. Look at that. Look at that. The car drives beautifully. Just like brand new. This is peak performance, guys. I think this is the only car actually ever to be like pretty much perfectly fine in the jump arena. Probably because it didn't jump very far in the first place. But that's the Ultras Concept 2099, the highest fuel economy of any automation car currently out there in a video. If you guys can make a higher MPG car, let me know in the comments down below. I think we got about 497, I think is what we got for MPG. This BeamNG one has 480 because we have a different wheel stance. So about 497. Let me know if you guys can beat that in the comments down below. If you guys like the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and make sure to join the Discord. Link in the description because I'll be building some cars in the Discord with you guys live. Thank you guys, of course, so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you next time.